It's Dr. Tennant's Verbal Highs. Let's start the show with Lewis Tennant. Here we go. Guests and interviews that you're looking for with creators, innovators, and so much more. For all episodes and further info, verbalhighs.com is the place to go.
Okay. Welcome to Dr. Tennant's Verbal Highs, a podcast podcasted weekly from a kitchen bench in Kingsland, Auckland, New Zealand. My name is Lewis and I'm the host of the show. And the last intro I did for the last show, the wee monologue at the beginning of the show, only happened a lasagna preparation ago. It's now in the oven and it has 21 minutes to go. Because I'm trying to get up the final 5 episodes needed to get 50 in a year in 48 hours. I've been recording them over the last few days. What an effort. Thanks to the 5 guests who came on through as well. We'll be gradually unravelling who they are. Of course, when these are recorded are of no consequence to you, probably, because you might be listening to this episode in 4 weeks' time and never listen to another one, or listen to one from the beginning of the year. Perhaps Otis Frizzell would take your fancy, or Thomas Watts from episode 1, or perhaps even Mikey Tucker from episode 3. The glorious, non-sequential, timetabled world of modern webcasting. You might be listening to this in 30 years through a chip surgically installed into your perineum that has all the internet from ever, the last 50 years, beamed through it, and you've just found this through perhaps some family tree search where I'm a distant relative from the old planet before you guys relocated to Venus. So my guest today is Irish comedian Alan McElroy, who I will cop to admitting I'd not heard of really kind of at all. Sorry, Alan, before he emailed me after he listened to Scott Blanks' episode, and that's more to do with my increasingly hermit lifestyle than Alan's prolific and regular comedy and hosting work around Auckland. If you're not too familiar with him either, great episode either way, whether you've heard of him or not, because a very fun raconteur, a lot of great stories to do with such things as being support act for someone whose ultimate, peak to their show was taking a turd, having a turd, releasing a turd on stage. And we talk about the problematic aspects of that, not only as a support act, but as a human being, an audience member. He also talks about a failed attempt at selling a marshmallow shooter gun on live television, where he bled profusely. What we did forget to talk about was Alan's big head. He mentions his big head a lot in press, and I actually too have a large cranium. My family has large craniums. I don't like the game where the hat's passed around, from time to time. Well, not the game, the social phenomena, because it always sits atop my head like someone's made a tiny wee artisan hat for an egg and just put it on the top. I wanted to get him to try on my extra large hat that I got from the shop that sells extra large hats, but I forgot. Didn't look comically oversized from this side of the bench, I must say. Alan wasn't. You didn't look like a bobblehead or one of those mannequins with the strangely large heads. So no, all good there. Please like the show if you enjoy this episode. If you come here via stand-up comedy circles or knowing Alan otherwise, please do like the show, Verbal Highs Podcast, on Facebook, Verbal Highs on Twitter. There's also Verbal Highs Podcast, a subscription service available on iTunes, and you can leave a wee comment there and a rating as well. The possible ratings to leave out of 5 stars are 5. That'd be lovely.
This is Dr. Tennant's Verbal Highs. especially farming communities, people that live so far away from each other. That's where they met and just went to the pub and got shit-faced.
Okay, so there's shit-facedness everywhere.
Yeah.
Shit-facedness.
Shit-facedness. It is now.
Shit-facedness.
It's going to be on countdown. Shit-facedness.
Hey, well, I suppose now's as good as any time.
Yeah.
So you've been applying for your bread and butter over the next
Just today was admin, just sitting down, sorting out Christmas gigs and stuff. And I run a comedy quiz in a load of bars that I set up a few years ago. So I have a lot of those sort of corporate parties coming up as well, which is just silly.
A quiz on comedy or
just
a
trivia,
comedic take on trivia?
Silly bollocks, anti quiz. I hate quizzes. They bore me to tears.
Yeah.
I hosted one before in a bar, and I got in arguments the whole time because people were arguing that the scores were incorrect and stuff. So long story short, but one of the bars that I knew the manager, he just took over the bar. He wanted to get rid of the boring people that didn't spend any money and drank water. So he hired me to come in and piss them off by hosting their quiz. So I went in. They were expecting people to walk out. Some people did. The people that were demanding, clicking their fingers, demanding that. Like one woman in particular, she calls me over and says, it's too dark in here. Bring the lights up. So I called the managers over and I said, this lady says it's too dark, so can we get 2 massive fucking floodlights just on this table right now? And she started getting not upset, but a bit taken aback that I spoke to her like that. But so the managers laughed and walked away, and then moments later she called me over and said these 2 teams are cheating. And so I got on the microphone and I said, look, it's been brought to my attention that you're cheating and you're cheating. Now you're last and you're second last, so you don't know how to fucking Google. So learn how to cheat if you're going to cheat properly. So then she slowly learned that she wasn't getting her way. She wrote an email complaint, and I took the quotes from the email complaint, put it in the quiz the next week. So just to slowly
Did you antagonise the serious quizzing community of Auckland?
Yeah, I got rid of a lot of them, and some of them they got used to it. Like we put out some ads for the Facebook page saying to get 5 or 10 bonus points. Come into me with the answer to this question on your hand in red ballpoint pen, and they'd come in and it'd be blue pen, and I'd say yes, the answer is correct, but it's the wrong colour pen, and they lose their shit. And then so they went from clicking their fingers like they're dealing with like hospitality staff, which is rude, to licking their hand before my eyes trying to put down the correct answer. It was stuff to entertain me.
So who's still there? The serious quizzing community or you?
We get a few. We get a lot of messers in now. We get a lot of people that come in and have a laugh. I have them around a few bars. I do like the Cav on a Monday, so I'm up there tonight straight after this, and they know what to expect. They know it's pretty loose, and it's.
Is it a summer sport too? Surely it winds down. Is it a sport?
No.
Is it even a sport?
Well, that's what I expected.
Activity?
Well, it'll finish over Christmas for a few weeks, but like last week, I expected Monday. Last Monday it was rammed again. Like people, like they'll come in moments later because of the last bit of sun, and then the shadow overcast them, and they run in and do it. So it's just a laugh. It's silly.
My guest today is a stand-up comedian, MC, actor and writer from Dublin, Ireland. Dublin. He has a degree in media production and management. You might recognise his copy, and has worked at live TV. Immigrated to Auckland in 2010 and has been on the local pro-comedy circuit since. You recognise some of it. I subbed it slightly. His debut solo show, Giddy, at the New Zealand International Comedy Festival, sold out 6 nights. An extra show was added. He brought the show to the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Some other stuff since 2012, including fluffing for TV show audiences, which
a bit of
fluffing. Ask about, and also some appearances in front of the camera, and in productions as diverse as a live comedy show on Māori television and a Placemakers advertisement.
There's a few ads. There's one on now as well, which is quite. I don't watch TV, so I get surprised when people sort of expect you. The one on TV now was a Flyboys ad, and I walk into a Z station and they ask me for my Flyboys card, and I pick it up and I show it, and then that's it. Well, sometimes you don't realise. I forget, and then somebody would recognise me. So I walked into a
From
Z.
walking into a Z on an ad.
On an ad, and I walked into a Z, and the guy behind the counter, I could see he was smiling and kind of giddy, and I didn't really know what was going on. It was early in the morning, and I went up, and he just, like, big smile, have you got flybys? I'm like, no, I don't have flybys. And then that was it, he seemed disappointed. It was just something he was looking forward to. It was weird.
Fluffing on... live television, for people who don't know, I actually only learnt this recently. You've got to have someone to sort of warm up the audience, don't you, before they laugh and cry and yelp on cue.
Yeah.
So what do? You just go in and do some bits, or because you've done it on 7 Days and a couple of other shows, eh?
Yeah. It's fun. Like, it's because I listened to the Die podcast earlier today, and he was talking about it as well. You basically you have to keep the audience giddy and happy, and some shows can be like a massively long recording.
Yeah.
But 7 Days you go out and you get them to clap and cheer. It's just it's the same as, like, if I MC a lot. You're just getting the energy up in the room, and then that's it. And then the guys are there to see, or the girl, whoever the stars of the show come out, and then they're happy. How long
is an audience effectively held captive for the whole recording process?
I used to leave halfway through, but I think it's a couple of hours at least. But one of the worst ones I did was 8 hours, and
they just couldn't get any good material.
No, they could. It was a prank for a TV show,
right.
And the prank was they had to bring people in who thought it was a talk show, and it was a live talk show. So it was a friend set up a friend. And it turned out to be a chat show. They walk in, and there's a whole studio audience, and then they have a little bit of fun. But then the downtime between each little skit was massive. So you're playing with the audience, clutching at straws.
And then in about 5 hours internally, you're like, I got nothing.
But but that's the thing. Like, it's because it was two separate audiences. So the first audience, and I started at about 8 in the morning, middle of summer. They had a massive industrial fan whenever the cameras were down. So you're trying to speak louder than the fan, play with them. There was a guy, and you're clutching at straws until you find something that we can all have fun with. And there was one guy that dressed like a pop star from the 90s, just randomly looked like he was in a boy band in the 90s. So we ripped the crap out of him, had fun with him, brought him up on stage, we sang songs, and then after 4 hours you're exhausted, and then that audience left and a new audience came in, and you had to start again. And and
pretend like you haven't been like song and dance man for the last few hours.
You've got to be jumping around and stuff, and it was that was the longest, that was the toughest one I did.
So I lived in Dublin in 2000 just for a couple of months. I'll talk about that in a while because I want to know how it's changed since I was there, because it had actually changed a whole lot from what the locals had told me around that time anyway, with all that new computer money and stuff coming on.
Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah. How did you... I wanted to ask first is the sort of probably obvious question is how did you end up here in terms of living? Is it the time old tale of meeting a woman?
It's always a woman involved, isn't it? No, it was I was going out with a girl. Her family are from here, and then she was working in a hospital, and it was just heading into the recession. So her job was unsafe. I was working in a TV show. I heard rumours that it was going to be cancelled at some stage, and the opportunity came up where we said, right, let's just jump ship before it sinks, and we went. And that was it. So we came straight here. Like I talk about it on stage where, we flew all the way over here, and then it turned out that her family lived in Hamilton, so that was a shock. I didn't last too long out there. I had to come back to Auckland, but yeah, so that was it pretty much. So we
did you come back with her, or you didn't last much?
No. She came with me. She came with me, and then we got married and had a baby and separated, and then they live somewhere over in Hamilton, I think it is still now, and then I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
What year?
2010-ish or 11.
When I was in Ireland, I found the Irish kind of attitude and I don't know, a general perspective on life quite similar to New Zealand. Do you find similarities here?
There's a whole kind of like
little brother country to a much larger country.
That's it. Same in Canada is the same, and you kind of have that whole not necessarily a fuck it attitude, but it's that like you can only do your best. You know what I mean? Like, just don't stress yourself out. Yeah. And even that, Dublin is still like it's a massive city, so it is quite fast paced, as parts of Auckland are. But still, when I came from Dublin to here, it was there was even less of a people were less stressed. Yeah, but it depends on where you go, obviously, in Auckland. But it is that we have that whole sort of... And that's why we have similar senses of humour as well, because of the whole downtrodden, you've been pushed down. Yeah. It was the butt of the joke of the bigger country next door. So you're
not one of these started off in... my Irish geography, but it might in Kilkenny, starting off somewhere small and ending up in Dublin.
No, I was Dublin.
You're a city boy in a small country, and you move to another city in a small country.
Yeah, no, I lived in a suburb of Dublin called St Mark's on Neilstown. It's quite dodgy. I don't know what the equivalent is here. Maybe West Auckland somewhere.
I lived in a shared apartment, and by shared I don't mean legally. I mean 4 French people, 2 Kiwis, and a Brit.
They squeeze in.
And a 1.5. Just paid the main guy cash every week. Didn't bother me, but location.
Yeah.
I was in the old Jamison's distillery on the side of the Liffey.
yeah. Which that's quite. When was that? Because that's quite a wanky spot now.
Well, it's not. Well, it probably would be if you had it on your own, but not with 7 sweaty backpackers.
Yeah. No, it's quite fancy now. It's the whole area. My mate bought a house out there. It's gentrified massively, and it's where all the cool people do leave their bikes outside without even tying it up or chaining it. They just
waxing their moustaches.
It's full on hipsterville.
And there was a hotel up the road that had some mad renovation, and I think U2 had money in it or something. There was some story.
Yeah,
there's some
I think
huge
it's the Clarence
hotel down
Bono's
there.
hotel. Yeah, you'd get a lot of foreigners just hanging around outside trying to catch a glimpse of Bono.
So when I was there, I was told, actually, funny enough, it's changed. It's actually, I was thinking about reflecting today, knowing I was going to chat to you about how I was struck by the number of people doing it tough when I was in Dublin, like homeless people and so on. But it's actually quite similar here.
It's quite similar here. Like it's quite similar here, and a whole movement kicked off last year where they tried to take over a building that the government took. It was an empty building, and a load of pop stars and whoever broke into the building to allow the homeless to sleep in there because there's empty buildings all over Dublin. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, there is a lot. But you notice it here as well, like walking up Queen Street, it's everywhere.
Well, I was going to say there is what I've heard since is it's like there was this tension there from what I was told between basically. Everyone was poor back in the day in Ireland, so that's a pretty relaxed way. It's pretty, what they call it. Everyone's on even playing field. But what I was told, it is a whole lot of kind of Silicon Valley-esque soft, computer money had come in.
Yeah,
and the place was on the rise. But then the way you talk about it is, I've never really been affected by recession because I don't have anything. But it sounds like you actually had to do a runner because that recession was a reality.
I didn't. I never. It couldn't hit at a better time for me, right? Being selfish. I have friends. You got to be selfish. I have friends that are not. They're a bit shitty. When I went back last year, like, oh yeah, welcome back now. Now that the country's okay again. I'm like, no, I'm not going to sit around. I don't need this. So I left. Like my job probably would have been okay. I probably would have got more work, but I wanted to leave. I really wanted to leave at that point. And I was in college and university for a long time, so I never had money. So I was broke, and then I started working as on a TV show, but only like 1 day a week while collecting social welfare. So I never had money. So the recession, I didn't lose stuff. No. I have friends that are in negative equity and they lost stuff. Yeah. But that's not my problem. Yeah. It's I ran and happily.
Well, it sounds like we're in similar situations there.
Yeah. I just got
recession-proof by design.
Yeah, that's it. And I came over here and it's worked out really well, and I have no complaints whatsoever.
So if I went back now, I'd love to go back one day. The Dublin of 2017, does it look much different to the Dublin of 2000? Because all that stuff happened in the middle.
It's mad. It looks great. I was back last year for a few months. I was back in the summer, and thanks to global warming, it was roasting. It was lovely. So I just hope they keep burning those fridges. It was absolutely stunning. And then I was there during the winter, and it was nice, crisp winter. It was beautiful. But then as January kicks in, you want to run, because that's when it's dark when you leave the house, and it's dark when you come home. It's just depressing.
No one told me that when I went to the UK. It's pre-internet, but at least someone could have told me. No one told me that I went to the UK, so it didn't happen while I was in Dublin. I got to London. I went to an internet cafe without a word of a lie. I came out of it at 3:15 in the afternoon. And it was dark.
It's pitch black. So you imagine you have a job. You wake up, go to work, sunny, but you're in the office, and then you leave work. It's dark. No wonder we go to the pub. You know what I mean? Like, what else are you going to do? You go home and watch Coronation Street, or you go have a laugh in the pub and be around friends. So it was. So I went back. It looked amazing. It's done up. It's there's more new buildings and stuff, and it looks great. And the tram system, the transport looks well. Seems okay. I loved it when I was back, but I couldn't live there. It's too expensive. It is expensive again.
Yeah, I won't keep on the Ireland Dublin thing for an hour. Don't worry. But another thing that fascinates me is obviously the kind of draconian influence of the church there all those years. I was listening to this. You don't strike me as a man of God, so I'm just going to go out there with this. I heard a brilliant Dylan Moran on a podcast. Like, he said some of the most brutally honest stuff about the influence of the church in Ireland for many years on Mark Maron's podcast. But big social changes as well in the last 15 years.
Massive.
But am I right that the church kind of held the country ransom for decades?
Yeah, we got rid of the British, and then we let the church take over. Like, it was like it's like the country wanted to be put down. But it's weird. Like, there's different things that you took for granted as kids. Like when they went collecting money on the doors, my mother would hide in the kitchen and say, "Tell them I'm not home." And you open, and there's a kid at home, and clearly there's a parent there, and you open the door and you say, "Oh, my mother said she's not home." You know, the sort of way. Go, okay, church money, that sort of crap. But we never went to church. We. I think if somebody was sick, they'd say a prayer, but we never really went. But it does have a massive influence, and a lot of stuff kicked off. They're trying to repeal the abortion referendum. The church they still have a finger. You can't even say that, it's a finger, but they've forced. You can't even say that. You can't say anything. But they've lost a lot. They've lost a lot now, which is great, and people are standing up against them. A lot of people stopped going to church. And stuff happened. Like, I was safe because I wasn't one of the sexy kids, but I was never. I'll
tell you what it is. I mean, you probably already know because you jest. It's kids that are assertive and a bit mouthy that don't, because you look like a whistleblower. I'm serious. Even as a 7 or 8 year old.
But it's crazy. But it's crazy. Like, there's a really sad thing that happened recently. I don't know what the actual news is now, but they found a load of, if a girl had a baby out of wedlock, the nuns would take the baby away and blah blah blah. There's loads of movies about it, and it's horrible, depressing. And then recently they found a grave of babies. And then that kicked off. People were getting paid money back, claims and whatever. But then they were opening up a new hospital, and they gave it straight to the nuns, the sisters. So everyone kicked off saying, "That's mental. What do you do?"
So mainstream Ireland kicked off and said it's mental.
Everyone, but mainstream Ireland has been kicking off for a long time. So it has been changed.
So how old are you?
36.
So 36. So even when you were a kid, I'm guessing that your family not going to church was not the norm. Or had it already started to change?
No, there was a few, because of the area I lived in, there was a few families that were like that. If it was Christmas, maybe you'd ask the neighbour what time is Mass, and you'd consider it, but you'd go, "Nah, it's too cold." And you got your toys to play with as well. I didn't want to go to church. I hated it. And even stuff like your confirmation and communion. I know it's supposed to be about Jesus and whatever, but for most of the kids, it was about going around begging for money off your uncles and aunties and just, what computer game am I going to buy? So it was never I just hated that they just had too much power, and you had to, your day, it was confusing as well for a kid, because you're learning history and you're learning, science, and then you go into religion and you're told, okay, everything you learnt in the last 2 lessons is completely wrong. And sometimes it was the same teacher. They're just doing their job, going, right, now we got to learn this crap. And so it was just, everything contradicted each other. Yeah. And you're sitting there going, what the fuck is going on here?
In one class, dinosaurs are in one era and humans are in another.
You're drawing
and in the
a
next
dinosaur
class, the dinosaurs are in...
Then you're drawing Jesus, and you're going, it was just weird. But we were never influenced by it. It's nothing, has no effect on our lives and my family. I stay well away from it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I recommend, I don't know if you listen to many interview podcasts, but if you want, a topic matter and your vocation, mate, the Dylan Moran and Mark Maron episode, he's very, very interesting fella. Plus, what he talks about is interesting too. Were you doing the comedy thing in Ireland, or is it something you picked up here? Did you want to be a stand-up from a kid, or...? I
kind of did, but I didn't know if I could do it. And I was into it. Like, we watched a lot of Billy Connolly as kids and Tommy Tiernan later on, and then some, I suppose, Brendan O'Carroll. But I was doing media and sort of performance-based stuff in university. I was making people laugh. That's how I kind of blagged my way through the degree, was just doing presentations and just sort of winging it, and then... Oh shit! I got a degree. Oh, no way.
Sounds like a man after my own heart.
But it was just trying to find a system, trying to beat the system and get a degree. And then a girl out of my class put my name down for an open mic, and I was bricking it. And I had a set prepared, and then I rewrote it all that day. And I went on stage, and it's still probably one of the best gigs I've ever had. I had a panic attack on stage though, so I seized up in my arm and I'm doing bits and pieces. And the MC kind of set me up for a joke at the start, because the person who was on before me went on too long. So the MC whispered to me, he said, keep it short and sweet. So when I jumped up, I said, he told me to keep it short and sweet. And then it was a stupid joke, but I said, like me dick dipped in sugar, something like that, along those lines. The crowd laughed. I settled into it.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
Then I was grand. And then I started getting into the material. But then I got a panic attack, and they thought it was part of the act. And I won the audience award that night. It was my first gig, and I did quite well. But for years after that, I thought that's how I have to do every single gig. So a lot of gigs, I would have like 4 cans of Red Bull before going on stage, just to try and twitch my way through it again. So I did it in Dublin for about a year, maybe, and it was going well. It was fun. But that was all around the same time as I was coming over here. So I came over here, worked in offices, hated it, worked in sales, hated it, and then just tried to find other ways to make money.
So it kind of feels like you did your open mics in Dublin and then landed here when you were nearly kind of, road ready.
Yeah, it was So I did some open mics here, but I was at the Classic.
What I'm curious about, man, is you just said how you kind of blagged your way through a uni a degree, basically, with a PowerPoint aided performance art
which
regime.
is still what I'm doing now.
But then... But then you talk about this idea of, you said you wrote your set, and that's actually a lot of things that something rather a lot of new comics don't know, is that you actually you generally have to write something before you go on. So how did you know that much about the craft that you knew you had to write material? Yeah,
I watched so much. I watched a lot of Tommy Tiernan. He would have been a massive influence, because I'd watched Billy Connolly for years. Yeah. And he made it seem like he was on stage making it up.
No, he is, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but then that's what we always believed, and still do to a certain extent. Yeah. But then there was a show, I think it was 1995 in New York, where he kind of did like a greatest hits. You know what I mean? So we watched that. My family went, it's just doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So but still, I'm pretty sure now I don't write stuff down anymore. Now I get on stage, I have ideas, and it's kind of loosely structured, and I play with the crowd more and find out, are you in a relationship, and then that will lead me into relationship-y type material.
Yeah, right.
But at the start I knew you had to sit down and structure a routine. So talking about Tommy Tiernan, I'd see him
just fill me in a little, man, because I know obviously Billy Connolly, granted. Tommy Tiernan, not a big name here. Is that an Irish,
legendary Irish comedian? He's been over a few times. He has family here as well, in the Mount somewhere. He won the big awards in Edinburgh years ago. He's been huge, and
talking about his way of putting material together.
But even when he's doing interviews, that was one thing I watched him, like, because I interviewed him in college, and he was lovely and really friendly, and like you've got comedians give them their time, and TV names give you their time, and he, after a gig, 99 gigs in a row I think it was, and he sat down, gave me a lot of time, and was lovely. And then I seen him being interviewed on chat shows, and he was always kind of performing as well. So it was like, even when it was a chat show, it was still the show,
Yeah.
you know. So that was, so everything seemed kind of structured. And then, so I watched that and I went, oh, everything has to be, you know, you still have to get the funny. You still have to be entertaining instead of going, yeah, the reason why I got into comedy is, you know, and some boring story.
Yeah,
So-
yeah. And I'd imagine, you know, that's right, different processes for different people. And for some people, I'd imagine writing would be just running over to a bit of paper when you think about something, jotting down a couple of words, hoping you remember what that was about.
Yeah.
And then workshopping off that, you know. You look.
I did it today because I called up. I don't normally write down stuff. I use Google ideas or Google whatever it is, and then I check it and I go, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes you pull out your
that's
shopping
those
list.
4 a.m. That's a great
But it
idea.
is, and
ones.
you read it and you go, but even sometimes you pull out your shopping list and go, what? Onions? What was the joke about onions? And it's just a shopping list. But because you don't know. And then today, that's what happened today. I called up, I was paying a festival fee, so I had to call up Melbourne, whatever they call it, and I had to give my credit card details over the line. And the guy was German, the finance guy was German. So I didn't say it, but it's the kind of joke you have, oh, a German guy working in comedy, ha 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 ha, right? It's that kind of stupid joke. So he was taking down my credit card details, and I didn't realise that on my credit card there is, I'm about to show you the number, there's 4 9s in a row. So I'm talking to a German over the phone.
Can
going,
I just take down that expiry date and CRV as well?
Yeah.
Thanks, okay.
But I'm saying 9999 to him 4 times over the phone, and
It's
then
written itself.
yeah,
It's written itself.
and I'm sitting there going, "Jesus, that's funny." But I couldn't because I'm trying to deal with him and blah, blah, yeah, thank you very much, cheers, goodbye. And then I quickly wrote down 4 9s on a piece of
So
paper.
is it 9 8 7 7 9 9
Nine,
no, hang on,
nine,
7
nine.
is it 7 3 9?
It was that. It was. I was sitting there laughing, going, oh, "That could be a bit." So I'd figure something out with that at some stage over the
You're
weekend.
not going to forget that one because it's permanently etched.
It's written on
in
the
your
card,
wallet.
yeah. So, but that's it. But now I don't really write down stuff. I just go out and play and see what happens.
Because you also hear of like people like the bigger HBO sort of guys. What HBO old cultural reference? I guess it's Netflix kind of guys now that will write a whole lot of material and just have that on the road for a year.
Yeah.
Do their special, set fire to it, and
Yeah.
run away and start again. I suppose there's no method as long as you got audiences laughing and
Well,
enjoying
see,
themselves, right?
That's easy. But there's bigger crowds. They can gig several times a night in the US. They can run gear at like 4 or 5 open mics on a Monday or a Tuesday. You know, here you can't.
No.
So so it's kind of different. If you're trying to set yourself up to do a special once a year in New Zealand, you're probably going to be, you know, there's not that many open mics. So, but yeah, I've always admired them for that and the fact that they can do that. And that'd be great. It'd be nice. It's a bit of pressure, but it's a bit of it'd force you into working on a good show.
It would, yeah. You just wouldn't want to see that person more than once in a year. How are you on that chair?
I'm fine, yeah.
Stretched in there, okay.
Yeah. No,
so that's reminding me of Louis C.K. writing things in a year. Do you think he'll pull out of his unfortunate situation?
Yeah, see, it's weird. I don't even know the full story. Like, it's not like, and it's hard to get involved because people kick off no matter what you say nowadays.
I think it's just that throughout his. We can leave it if you want.
No, it's fine. Yeah,
it's just that it's something I pondered because he's such a brilliant artist. But yeah, he basically liked to get his dick out and masturbate in front of people.
I know.
Without consent, it's a very odd.
It's weird. Like, and you need, like, I don't know all the stories. Like, there's a lot of stories you hear. I read something the other day that
Freud would have a field day. It's not typical. Yeah,
I don't know, but then I've heard a story. I've heard stories of other comedians that I know do it, and it's all fun and games. But it could be that one person at a party that goes, "This isn't for me," and then complains. I don't know. I've never done it. Not that I know of. No, I've never done it, but I don't know what the full story is.
I know what you mean about it as a topic. Like, it's something whereby often, you know, even on Facebook, wherever, you can't have quite reasonable and nuanced discussions about these things. Like, because I steer clear generally, but with the Louis thing, I posted something up. See, even now I'm hesitant to. I basically said that. Look, I'm not condoning what he did by any means. I think, you know, whatever should always have consent, etc., etc., etc. But people are going around putting him and Cosby and all these people in the same boat.
Yeah,
it's like
it's not the same.
Not the same at all.
Not the same.
Not the same at all. Not even close.
Yeah, and there's that, and there's other ones like it seems like you can't even say that someone's looking for attention either. But even with the hashtag Me Too stuff, I read some horrible situations that people went through, horrible stuff, and then I've had other people. I've read some of theirs, and it was nothing compared to it. And it sounds like they're kind of diluting the serious stuff. Yeah. So if someone says I was walking on the road and someone touched me on the shoulder, that's my personal space. Hashtag Me Too. It's like no, that's not the same. They've gone through something serious. You've been touched on the shoulder. It's different. So I think Louis C.K. will pull through. I know he's lost. He had a movie coming out at the minute. But
it's a terribly themed film for what happened.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's mad. But
I'll do my Woody Allen, and then this will come out. I'll do my Woody Allen piece, piece of art.
Yeah.
I think it's awkward. I think it's awkward even if you're as you joked about, even if you're a male or a female that knows your nose is totally clean. It's just such a hard conversation to also have when you feel like if you do comment on it that you are lumped into the same basket based on the fact you didn't just go. Everything's blanket.
Like it's weird. Like there's some people that probably shouldn't be around comedy. Like there's some people that don't really understand comedy as well.
Comedy is one of the places to me that can. We're just going to remove the whole Louis C.K. thing out of this. We're talking about performing comedy now.
Yeah.
It's one of the places where things can and should be aired in a way where everyone's safe.
Yeah,
it gets a little. It gets a little bit touches people's comfort zone.
Yeah.
But everyone emerges safe. But to me, more critically, they have. They've got. Greater perspective to think about a topic, I guess.
I've seen someone get removed
Jesus,
from...
how did we get here? Sorry.
No, I know. I've seen someone get removed from a comedy show. I'll just say that. And she was being an arsehole, and she was talking the whole way through it. She wasn't there for comedy. She was just... and then she was trying to record a lot of what was happening. And so she had to be politely be removed. But while being removed, shouted to the comedian something like, your woman beat her, or your wife beat her, or your domestic violence. She passed that comment. And the comedian was surprised, I didn't say anything like that. And then I'm watching it going, there's nothing said like that. And I talked to the others and I said, where does she get that from? But this drunk person was being asked to leave, and then she started out. You know what I mean? It could have stuck. It could have stuck. And even though nothing was said on stage or nothing happened on stage.
Well, it's actually, funnily enough, out of talking about safe spaces, it sounds like out of anyone in the room, she made everyone feel a little dark that night.
Yeah. It was weird. It was weird, but you're watching it and then you try and reassess what happened and you say, oh no, that person was in the wrong. They were the one causing trouble. But yeah, it's hard because then why are they going to comedy if you're not in the mood, to sit down and laugh and don't go out.
Well, as I say, laugh and explore issues you perhaps otherwise can't in an environment like that. So you got a support slot for someone who took a dump on stage.
How did you see that?
Eh?
Where did you see that?
I saw it on your video podcast, mate.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I did. I did about 25 podcasts.
You just looked at me like, oh my God.
No, because we just talked about it the other day, and I'm paranoid about my phone recording what I'm saying. Do you ever do that thing where you have your phone there and you talk about something that you
I'm
don't
not with the Google
want?
People.
Yeah, but but you know what I mean? You go, say saucepans, I need a saucepan, and then the ads come up on your phone saying, oh, you want a saucepan. Where'd you know that? But no, because we only talked about it 2 days ago, and we were doing a road trip. We were asked to open for Jackass, and it wasn't the main. It was the leftovers of Jackass. It wasn't Steve-O and Johnny Knoxville.
It was the Vegas 15 years old Jackass.
Do you know what it was? It was like that kind of Rat Pack telling old stories, but not the main guys. So we were asked to go down to Hamilton to do it. Me and my mate, and we. And the story gets even weirder, but me and my mate went down and we did, I think, 20 minutes each opening up for them. And the crowd were trickling in, so they weren't really interested in comedy, but we were getting laughs and having fun. And then the guys came out on stage and everyone cheered to see a Jackass on stage. But then the guy, he was just telling stories. And this one time, Johnny Knoxville, expecting laughs. He was just name dropping his mates. And then it was silence for 14, 15 minutes. And then he pulls up a box on stage, right? I'll stay near the mic, don't be. He pulls up a box on stage and he puts a towel on the box. Now, I read a review of their gig in Australia, so I kind of expected what was going to happen. So he puts a towel on the box and he climbs on the box and he pulls his pants down. And there's two massive TV screens, two massive screens, cinema screens on either side of the stage. So you could see everything high def, right?
He's got his head into a little circle.
He's got. I know. You can see everything high. That wasn't a little circle. That was a big circle. And he squats down on the box, and he's standing on it. And I seen a grown man take a shit on a stage, and it was high definition, and I saw everything. And the crowd cheered, and that says a lot for that crowd. They cheered, right? And it was disgusting. Now, me and my mate at this stage, we kind of wanted to stick around and watch the last act, Chris Pontius, but we said, fuck it, we're going. This is weird. I just want to go.
It is, to me, it's like, it's such lowest, it's like, I have nothing left.
Yeah.
Will this crowd.
Well, that's it.
Will this crowd.
But that's what I thought, and I joked.
And they did.
They loved it, and that's what I joked about at the time. It's like you learn from gigs constantly. You always learn, no matter how old you are. And I learned from that. If I do 15 minutes and I don't get one laugh, I take a shit on a stage and see what happens. But then the crowd starts shouting, "Throw it, throw it!" Because in Australia, he picked it up and held it like a baby in the towel and threw it into the crowd. Now we didn't do it in Hamilton, but I said it to my mate. I said, he's gonna throw that into the crowd. We better get out of here. This is disgusting. And it was nuts. And then on the way home, well, there was no nuts in it. I didn't get that close, but it was high def. But on the drive home, then my mate who was driving, I won't say who it was, I didn't know he had stomach problems, and he goes, I need to pull over at the side of the road, and took out toilet paper, and then he had a shit at the side of the road, and I'm going, what happened? I just arrived back to New Zealand that week, and I just back in New Zealand, and I saw two grown men take a shit in the same night. It was disgusting.
Phone the agent. We need to talk about we need to talk about some of the bookings.
Not doing this shit again.
And if everything we just talked about how, I condone everything on stage, I'm open-minded, I'm like, nah. I'm like, nah, there is nothing endearing, artistic, interesting, compelling, challenging.
I don't get
that
it.
That is straight back to the beginning of the evolutionary man.
That. It's a kid wouldn't even do it for a laugh. It was weird. It was just weird, and not all the crowd.
Simian in its deployment.
Because even even my mate turned around to me and said, "I bet they want us back on stage now." Because they were coming. It was just weird. The whole thing was nuts.
I actually heard Steve-O on you might have noticed that all I do now is listen to long-form conversation podcasts, but I heard Steve-O on a couple of podcasts because I think he had a book out or something.
Yeah.
He's actually got a crazy story outside of his antics, his actual on-stage antics and stuff. I don't know if you know about how deep he went into addiction, and now he's in recovery and da-da-da-da-da. So he was just this amazing, and I know he wasn't part of that TSC show.
Yeah.
But so I listened to. It's so good that I track him down on a couple of other podcasts because I know they, obviously you do a promo run at the same time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm going to watch the special. Steve-O's going to be great as a stand-up. Terrible stand-up, like not taking a dump, but that kind of level of material.
Yeah.
Actually felt quite sorry for him all the way through. Crowd lapped it up, man. There's obviously an audience, right?
Audience, like there's an audience for nearly every style of comedy. It's just finding that audience, but that's not the audience you want. It's but yeah, there are people that just want poo jokes. Like people.
Hey, listen, I like a poo joke with any other man, but not.
I've nothing against them. I tell jokes about my kid having a poo. But it's relatable to other people. It's not just for the sake of a poo joke, but it's people understand, especially if you have a kid.
We need to wrap this up. That's not a poo joke. It's a poo.
It's a poo,
right?
Yeah, but it's a joke story about. It's not a joke story. It's a funny story about having a poo.
No, you told the funny story about having a poo. He just had.
He just had a poo. Shit. Yeah. He just had a shit.
Yeah.
And even if he had described it while he was narrated the whole process. Nah, it was
even
weird.
Like David Attenborough, I would have given him an extra point or two.
Would have been funny if the other guys had to come out and start, narrating what was going on. But it was just a grown man, a man in his 40s maybe, taking a shit on a stage.
Let's just leave it there. So, other odd gigs?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some really bad gigs, really weird gigs.
Yeah.
Is that what you want to hear? Like, don't get me wrong, I have some really good gigs. I love gigging, you know, but you don't really talk about the good ones because that sounds like...
I just said odd. I didn't say good or bad. You might have had an amazing odd gig.
I'm going to tell I have some weird... I had a lot of weird gigs. Like, not even just stand-up. I worked on a shopping channel here as well at one stage in this country. It was weird. I just kept on taking weird jobs.
What, going on camera and doing like one of those 15-minute long ads for a vacuum or something?
Yeah, we didn't last long. Because we were hired, right? There was, I did an ad for KFC, and I had to jump around like a game show host. So the people who were in charge of that said, "Oh, you should be on the shopping channel when we start it up." And you can't do a shopping channel in a country the size as New Zealand. But we weren't complaining because we were getting paid well. So we just said, "Yeah, we'd give it a go." But it didn't really last long.
So what does the Irish accent sell on a shopping channel in New Zealand?
Absolutely fuck all. Absolutely, because you have a time limit, and then you're trying to get all the information in fast. There's no subtitles, so I'm going, "I don't really got to buy the mouse," and they just hear ramble. So it's like half of the time when I'm working, I even though I have to talk for a living, I'm pretty sure that not everyone understands.
The channel wasn't live; it would just be repeats. It was live. The same. Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was live.
So you're some sort of it's like a broadcasting huckster. It's like you got 20 minutes to.
Yeah, it didn't last long. There was one bit where
there's the phone. You know.
Yeah, the phone number.
No, but are they near you so you can hear it ringing to know whether or not you've succeeded?
I don't even know where the phones were. I think you went online, but I sold something. This is one of the weirdest things. I had to sell what was called like a marshmallow shooter, like there's a bow and arrow and a gun that shoots marshmallows, but you couldn't shoot them when they were fresh because they had to be kind of gone off by a day, so they came out like a bullet. So me and the other host were shooting each other, trying to show how good this is for kids at Christmas, and it was aimed at children, right? Parents of children. So in the shot, I pull back the bow and arrow, the plastic separates and then jumps back together and pinches a part of my skin. I still have a little scar there, and blood start coming out, right? So we're trying to sell this that's good for kids, and there's blood coming out of my hand, and I'm trying to cover that so no one can know, and then at the same time the other host accidentally shoots me in the eye. So I've got a bloodshot eye that's starting to swell up and blood coming out of my hand going, "Yeah, get this for Christmas, this is what the kids want."
Age 3 and up.
It was mad. Like that was an odd gig. But again, it was a fun gig, but it was an odd gig.
Wait, shopping channel. I reckon we must have only had that a year or two.
Less.
But all those. The reason I asked about the live TV thing is I've noticed since only 8% of New Zealand watches old school TV now that there's obviously not a lot of money for advertising like there used to be, and I don't know if you've noticed, but regular TV's filled up with like these 10-minute ads for a fishing rod in the middle of the night.
Yeah. You know? It's constant. Like it used to be just the middle of the night, but now.
I didn't mean the middle of the night. I meant prime time. Was the point?
And it seems to be constant, which is I don't watch TV anymore.
The thing with it, I watch The Chase every night at 5 p.m. to turn my brain off. I think Bradley Walsh is a very good host.
He's hilarious.
I think The Chasers are very good at their job too.
Escapism.
Where was I going with that? I forgot my point. Something to do with terrestrial TV. That your largest TV role to date was being on the long-running and much-loved New Zealand soap opera Shorten Street. How long did that character last? Longer than the shopping channel?
Not that, a lot less. I was brought in. They needed someone to burn down a bar aggressively, and it was probably too racist to go to other kind of people that they associate with terrorism. I don't really know, but it was. We went, let's get dodgy Irish builders in. So it was like, that's a weird stereotype, okay, but we took it, and it was good fun. It was good fun, but I had to work with a guy who wasn't Irish. So and the guy who got the gig in the end was pretty good with the accent, but the guy who I went to the audition with, I wanted to stab him. Because I said, "No, you learn that accent. Here's a video."
It's quite a tough accent.
It's hard to learn.
It's a cringeworthy one to hear someone trying to do.
You'd get the same listening to someone try to do a Kiwi accent, which is why I can't do it.
How many times has someone said "to be sure" to you?
Oh yeah, it's you just go shut the fuck up. But it's you hear it quite odd. But even like what's it, X-Men? One of the X-Men movies where Michael Fassbender is playing Magneto, and he's got a Kerry accent, so he's given this big mad passionate speech at the end, and as he's getting into it, his accent goes from being Magneto back to being from Kerry, and it sounds like he's riling up the IRA in the 1900s. You know, it's that sort of, you can't. It's hard to lose the accent.
Do you? Because I had to laugh. I had a Londoner over for a show a couple of weeks ago. He's talking about when he's back home and everyone laughs at his Kiwi accent, and he sounded like the most broadly London accent I've known. Because all I hear is with you is it's quite a strong Irish accent. And when you people back at home say, "Oh,"
they'd say, "Oh, you sound posh." Like I speak clearer. But if I'm around someone else that's Irish here, and I hang around, I'm heavily involved with the Irish here, so I'm always around those accents. We speak faster, and what we do as well, we also know what someone is saying in their sentence, that we just clip their sentence. So for anyone else listening, it's just a load of jib, 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 and then shake hands.
Maybe that's why I got on so well in Ireland, because I've been told that I interrupt, which is basically what you were saying.
But that's what you do.
Of.
Yeah, we just, it's like you know what they're going to say, you know where they're going.
I like the way you say you talk particularly fast when Kiwis are known for saying talking particularly fast, and I also like the way you say that you sound posher when to most other English accents New Zealand sounds like one of the least posh.
Well, I sound posher to Irish people because my accent is quite rough where I'm from.
Yeah.
So, but I notice that every now and again that I raise the end of the sentence without realising. So, but I've been here 8 years. I've managed to keep it. But
did you grow up in an area full of Neds?
What's a Ned?
Is that in Dublin?
No.
Have you never heard that expression?
Ned.
A Ned?
No.
Oh, okay.
Is that a Kiwi thing?
No, it's something I was told in Dublin. It's like it's a derogative term for it. Yeah, it's the Irish version of a chav, but if you don't know of it,
no, Ned,
it's made on it.
Ned wasn't the word. It was scanger. Knacker was another one.
Knacker, that's it.
That was it, yeah. Yeah, and we were those. we were them running around with like a rat's tail for years.
And did you have Reebok Classics in a maxi tracksuit?
Yeah. I had a tracksuit. Yeah, always had a tracksuit. Everyone had it, or a big duffel coat walking around. Yeah, it was everyone looked the same.
Yeah,
everyone looked the same, dressed the same. Yeah, that was us.
Wow,
a little moustache when we were 12, just going around, just a little pikey moustache, just running around. It's mad.
You'll be back in the Reebok Classics.
Can't afford them.
Well, while we're talking about the, how did you afford them back then?
They weren't official. They were like either they were off the back of a truck or it was Reebok. It was always one word, one letter different. Adidas was Arribas. Sounds a bit Mexican, but
man in a van would turn up on Thursday afternoon from 4 to 7. Would you like any Robux?
Yeah, that's it. And Christmas lights stapled to some trainers, so you look like you had flashy shoes. It's that sort of dumb stuff.
Okay, so while we're reducing your culture and your nation to a series of questionable jokes and social observations, a local rugby fan here was so drunk she called you a gnome, but in fact she meant a leprechaun.
Yeah, that was weird. It was during the Lions tour, and she was trying to say something against the Irish, but she couldn't get it out quick enough, and then that was it, and then everyone laughed at her. It was just weird. It was like, you're nothing but a fucking gnome. And then I just, what the fuck did she say? Get out of here. Yeah.
So some of the better shows. How is stand-up comedy in New Zealand? Full time, man. How many shows would you get in a week?
I do, it's hard to do a full-time here unless, you're a TV name or whatever, which is why I set up that quiz company. So I have that. So I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah. And then I have other people hosting my stuff. So that's my bread and butter. And then gigs at the weekend.
Yeah.
So because of that quiz stuff, I can relax and enjoy the money at the weekend and not go, I need more gigs because I need to pay bills. So yeah, every week pretty much.
And you're still keeping your chops up in a way doing quiz night stuff because you're doing
crowd
comedy,
work. Yeah, it's crowd work. It's playing with people. It's playing games. It's and then because I'm writing new weird stuff every week for the quiz. I'm kind of writing material. So I have a corporate in a couple of weeks, which I'm pretty much going to. Because what they want, it's going to be a weird mix between quiz and stand-up. So it's just keeping me going, just trying to hustle.
But you don't like go, I've got a quiz night. You still,
No, because it's fun.
That's what I mean.
Because they know if someone comes in expecting it, like the go-to is, look, it's not a real quiz. No one gives a fuck.
Yeah.
Right. And we get people in. Like sometimes some of the bars, you see like a group of old ladies over there, and the bar staff will come over going, "Oh, have you got any weird stuff in the quiz tonight?" They look a bit You know, but what a lot of people forget is that
Oh, you mean like, play a bit?
can you play it safe? Like there's a clip on Countdown where they pulled out the letters and I spelled cunt flaps, right? Cunt flaps. So I said, I have this cunt flaps in the quiz, and she went, oh my God, I don't think you can do it. Look at those ladies. And I said, look, I'll show you. And it's funny. And she looked at it and said, fuck it, do it, see what happens. The ladies loved it, because what they forget is that those old ladies were, you know, they were rocking it in the 60s and 70s, right? You know, so they're not what we would think is of as old ladies. They were mental when they were young, and they loved it. And what I get a lot of the time is when the little old ladies leave the quiz, they come up and say thanks a lot, but they love to say the word fuck in there as well, because they've heard it a lot in the quiz. They go, that was fucking great. Thank
Really?
you. Yeah, and they walk away. So I love
do it around the grandkids.
They can't. Yeah. So they come there and have a laugh. But I'd look at them, and I do it every now and again. I judge them before I even get to know them, and I nearly back off. But then I say, fuck it, they know what to expect.
I think that's really interesting what you said. I hadn't thought about that. That, like, you know, it comes back to shit near the beginning of the podcast when we were talking about things like how you know, old society and how religion made people a bit stuffy and so on. Yeah, you and I probably we think of old people like they were when we were 10.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. Yeah, when they're almost from the old world now compared to now.
But the old women now they had a great time.
Yeah, it's like when that's an analogous to, I don't do it so much anymore, but when I used to DJ out a lot. You know, get some bar manager be like, oh, don't play any hip hop. Well, ease on the hip hop. Ease on the. There's older people in here, and I'd look around and I'd go, well, actually, hip hop's been around since the late 1970s, and looking around this room, I think everyone here grew up around hip hop.
Yeah.
Whereas the observation they were making would have actually been true in a bar in the 90s or wherever.
Exactly.
Where it was like, what's that rap shit?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So things do turn over.
And they know the words, they know the lyrics.
That's
well,
right.
so
that's right.
Yeah.
See, Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
Yeah.
You thought he was going to get all. You know, where's the classic rock? Who do you admire in New Zealand, man, on the stand-up circuit? Who do you think's, like, you know, particularly gifted as a comic?
There's a few, like around now, like I do love watching like Lovegrove when he's on stage and you know, going through it, and we die and one of my gigs a couple of weeks ago, and that was great. There's a load of comedians that you probably wouldn't even know their names. That's the problem, because they're not on TV, but like Paul Douglas and Graham Clark, there's these people that I love watching. Justine Smith is probably my favourite in New Zealand to watch. She'd just be on 7 Days quite often.
I think she's married to an old friend of mine from high school. Dan.
Yeah. She is still, and has been for a long time, one of my favourites.
I'll have to get on out and check her out.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Like, and she'd probably come in and do this as well. But yeah, there's a lot of amazing acts. There really is. So it's, you see, and the Fan Brigade. There's another one. There's so many.
Do you think there's probably similar? What's the population of Ireland? About 5 million now or more?
5-ish, yeah.
So very similar,
very similar.
Very similar. I think the big, you know, the sad thing in both countries will always be as performers that it's
have
just
to
that
leave.
numbers thing. Because this thing I'm doing here, you know, I started listening to these. Let's say I was listening to the LA version or the London version.
Yeah.
So I'm getting people in like yourself who are, you know, professional career artists.
Yeah.
But they're not Johnny Depp, whatever, in the LA version. This could actually, I could actually, you know, quit my main job doing something like this somewhere like LA or London, based purely on numbers. Based on the numbers I'm getting, I know it's successful here.
What's the numbers on yours?
Thousands.
Yeah, but that's good. Like, that's good considering, you know.
It's in the hundreds per episode.
Yeah.
But I think that's good for like I say. So I may promote it this year. I did a year of let's see what happens if I just post them up.
Yeah.
Get people who are on them to share. So I haven't actually done any boosting or any of that kind of stuff yet.
See,
but I think I'm going to do it. Sorry, it's a year.
Yeah.
This week you're here for the last week of the first year I've done it. Yeah. So maybe next year, I'm just so busy with work. But I might start actually promoting it based on having a year of material already.
But that's good because you have the backlog.
That's what I'm meaning. Yeah.
And that's because are you using SoundCloud or?
No, I use Squarespace, which is like a all-in-one. It used to, back in the day, it used to be you had to get a domain here, you had to get your server here, you had to get your host here. Just throw money at this American company, build it yourself, and upload unlimited amounts of material, which is good for audio and video. So I just chuck them up each week and when I can.
Yeah. No, I did it I did a few, but I got lazy because
The video ones that I saw.
Well, the video, but I have them as audio as well. But I had them on SoundCloud, and then they were demanding too much money, and I already paid a certain amount of money, and then they wanted more. So
I
then
thought SoundCloud was free.
Nah, they were looking for $80, I think it was.
What? Because they figured out you were professional.
No, there's a certain amount of time you're given. So mine was about 20 minutes long. Yours,
80 minutes.
Yeah, so it was crazy, but Mixcloud is cheaper. But I just have to sit down over the Christmas and re-put them up.
Well, I saw you had a website. If you wanted to throw some money at a different provider or whatever, I can't believe I'm promoting these guys for free. But that could be the all-in-one for your podcast, eh? Or couldn't you just add a page to your existing website and upload audio to it?
Yeah, I need to pay for more data on the page, but to be honest, I haven't used that much because I have links to videos instead of actually uploaded videos.
What were you doing on the show, man? Was it just you pondering like your video podcast, or were you having
it was
guests?
the same. It was just the audio of that, and I was going to get guests. I still might do it next time. I just got bored, but where I just interview expats that are living here and about their sort of life here. But then
I like that. The other one is to steal or pay homage to a lot of the podcasts I found to be really successful. Is a lot of these conversation podcasts I listen to in the UK and the States are hosted by stand-up comics.
Yeah.
So, you as a host bringing other comics in New Zealand could be really good for stand-up comedy in New Zealand in general.
I think some people are doing that. I need to double check, but I do listen to a lot of Adam Buxton, and I really enjoy his
great.
one. Yeah,
how's the one with Louis Theroux when he started singing? Did you hear that?
Yeah, I listened. When I listened to that one, I went looking through the list to find the other ones that he was on. My sister told me to listen to that, and then I listened to Simon Amstel before I left the house there. I really
you might
it.
like this guy Richard Herring does a good one live
I heard
as
that,
well.
Yeah.
Adam Buxton does the intros where he walks with the dog.
Yeah, I like that.
I really like it.
Yeah,
and he does his little mad kind of home studio interludes. With
which is what I thought of when I heard yours. I heard the little song at the start. I went, "Oh, that's like Adam Buxton."
No, someone else did that for me.
Yeah.
I got that off Fiverr. There's this American website.
I know, I used it. Yeah, it's great.
So I got that jingle. Some guy in the middle of the States. I ended up tipping him because I'm like $5 for that.
I know.
But you can, it can get a bit exploitative. A friend of a friend's paid an Indian guy to smoke a cigarette and say his name in a gentle tone on the side of a river.
Yeah, that's fucking mad. Yeah. But you can, Fiverr's amazing.
You weren't expecting that, were you?
But the thing is, like, no one, how are they making money on Fiverr? Like, if he's sitting, how much time is he putting into your jingle?
I think, like anything, it's like, I can't remember how it worked, but I think it's, the cream rises to the top. So I think for something like, the second, I don't know if you noticed, the bit between me having a rant at the beginning and then the guest is like a faux barbershop. This is Dr. Tennant's.
Yeah.
So that's one guy who that's one of his services he offers is I will do I think I had a number of syllables I was allowed. I will do this number syllable barbershop. Hear me out here.
Yeah, I know.
I will do this number syllable barbershop quartet rendition for $5. So he obviously just records his main voice, puts it through a processor, which changes the octaves, and sends it back to you. And so if you're doing something like that is really effective, but at the end of the day, it probably takes you about a minute to do once you've got it set up. I think that's where you make money.
Yeah.
I think the other one is, like with my man who did the ukulele jam at the beginning, is... There's some internet rule, it's actually got a name, I forget it, is like, every 1 in 100 people will do the right thing by the product or service.
Yeah.
So 99 people go, fuck yeah, $5, haha, what a deal. The other one actually tips them quite well.
Yeah.
So I think that's my guess as to the way people get by on that.
The ones I watched, because I do poster work for people, and then someone tried to say, "Oh, I might use Fiverr." So I looked into it, and I went, "How can you sit down
do visual? You do what?
I do for posters for comedy shows and that, and drawing. I do a lot of drawing, animations and stuff. How can they sit down and spend that much time on it and charge $5?
Those are my two guesses. What do you reckon? The person who tips, or the standard template of something that's quick to do.
The template is one thing, but maybe the tip, maybe you'll give it a go for a $5, and you say, "Oh fuck it, that's worth more because it's a craft, and it's and people will understand that, like creative people, and will tip more. Maybe that's it."
I got to be honest. I started off the other guy I described. I was like, $5, sucker. And then about 4 days later, I'm like, oh man, I got to give that guy some extra money.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never going to meet him. He's
It's
on the
just-
other
it's
side
just
of the
tapping
world.
away at your head. You go, I better give this fucker something.
Yeah,
Like he's-
and I private messaged him and said, it's great, man. It's exactly what I was looking for. Because I was running around here thinking, who can I get to do it?
Yeah.
How's it going to sound?
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. And he just captured it through an email I sent him, you know?
Yeah.
I actually saw with you, I'm sure I saw some studio gear in one of your parts of your pods I watched, which made me think you dabble in music as well.
I'm not very good at it.
Didn't
but
you
my,
have some controller pads
Yeah, I
and
have
stuff?
a launch pad.
Yeah.
The show we did in Edinburgh this year was a musical show. It was called Getting the Band Back Together.
Yeah.
So I wrote weird songs, and my mate is a genius with music. So he put the music together really quick to my weird lyrics, and then we put on this show where we created a band out of the audience on stage.
Yeah.
So we used the launch pad to hit the beats, and then we used a program called Imatone to turn your voice into a musical instrument. So we it was great fun. But so we've done it, but I'm crap at music. I can't make a song, but he understood everything, and he created really catchy tunes that when we did lineup shows to promote our show, the other comedians were going, that fucking song is stuck in my head. And that's what you want, a really catchy song.
That's right. It's either the best jingle ever or the best pop song ever.
That's it, and it's stuck in the head, you know.
So you can contribute to music if you're doing that.
I can write weird lyrics and have ideas, and I
Yeah.
can hum it to my friend. I can go no, and then it comes out, and it's perfect.
Because when I saw that, I actually thought those boxes. I got a similar thing there, which podcast listeners have heard me talk about a few times now because I bought it and it just sits there. Anyway, but I was thinking just anything now with like a little portable box with USB and buttons. Like, I always think about it in a dance music sort of context. But hello, that's so good for any kind of performance.
Any
right?
performance.
You're not plugging in 6 or 8 things like you used to and
Everything
hoping
is
one
on
thing
that.
didn't fail. And, you know,
Everything is on that, and then even
little samples and
samples. So even if you're doing like radio stuff or podcasts, you could have instead of editing it as later on, you just go dun, hit the jingle, and that happens. But for us, it was perfect because some songs, we had a song. It was called Fumer Mata, and it was about smoking. If you smoke in Europe, the warnings on the packages. They're quite graphic. Same here.
Yeah.
But if you buy cigarettes in Portugal, it says "Fumer Mata," which means smoke and kills. So if you don't speak Portuguese, then ignorance is bliss, and you could smoke away. So the song was "Fumer Mata," but to Hakuna Matata. So we in onesie singing the song Hakuna Matata, but Fumer Mata, all about smoking and stuff. And there's bits where we had to stop and talk to the audience and play with the audience. So that song, if we played it continuously, we'd have to press pause or whatever, know, and that was difficult. But once we knew the layout with the launch pad, we just gone click and we're back into the song. And it was just made it so smooth and professional.
And the other thing when I saw you with it, like I sort of said before, is just having done it, all sorts of kinds of performing over the years, as well as I've done my fair share of teching and making sure the glue sticks together, is the big fear with something like a comedy show or anything involving technology in the old sense is one cable's going to be slightly bung or as long as you can get that feed,
and that'll happen. Like it happens every now and again where there's an odd buzz off a different mic or whatever, and we had technical problems, but we had a backup. So it was a keyboard. It was a cheap one I bought from AliExpress, and the launch pad actually fucked up. And we had to quickly change it to this keyboard and realigned all of the connections and the buttons, and then we used that for the rest of it. But it was, it's mad. Like you still get technical problems, but it's still like we were on top of it, and it's great. And
traveling through airports, the whole thing. It's like you can take this whole next level futuristic show. You're kind of in the duffel bag, you know.
Yeah, it's just you're just carrying it around, and the laptop has everything. Like I run everything through the laptop. I do the quizzes. I do everything. Like if that laptop went missing, I'm fucked. My life is on that, all my work.
Oh, don't say it, dude. I spilled a glass of water in this one straight after a guest left one morning, and I was like, oh my God, imagine if I have to tell that person that, that 80 minutes you chatted to me, it's gone. Thankfully got it. Back up! Now you made me think, talking about that, about comfort on stage, because I find it interesting, like, you were like microphone in hand guy. It sounds like a silly question to people, but I've listened a lot to people talking about getting comfort on stage because you're on your own. Do you have a stool out there?
No, I walk around a lot. I move a lot, so there's not really that many clear images of me on stage.
You walk around fast a lot.
I move around
Yeah.
and I play. I talk to people. So, but I'll have the mic in my hand. I'll move the stand out of the way. But my first gig, I couldn't even touch the mic because I thought my hand would shake, so I wasn't sure. So I just stood there like Liam Gallagher into the machine, into the mic, just going blah 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 blah. And
on 7 Red Bulls.
Yeah. I wasn't, but that was the panic attack. I wasn't even Red Bulls at that stage. But yeah, now it's I walk around and I play, and I get bored easy talking to somebody. I get bored listening to myself. So that's what I'd rather walk around and just talk.
This is sort of a cliche question, but do you still get nervous?
Not really. Sometimes, like if you hadn't gigged for like a month or something, you go, oh fuck. But then you forget. Once you're backstage and you're around the comedians, and then you just sort of you crack into it. But as soon as you walk out on stage, you just go, oh, you just turn on like you're just there. But I don't really get nervous. I don't get as nervous as I was that first gig or other gigs where I have to. Like when I started, I had to just go and lie down in the bed for 2 hours and just sort of calm down before going on stage.
Yeah.
Try and sleep even though I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Couldn't eat. I can't eat now before going on stage,
Yeah.
but that's because I move. And if I eat, then it'll come out my face, like I'll be sweating. And
Do you drink on stage?
sometimes.
Yeah.
Not heavily though. Like I'll have one or two. And then after the gig, then you know.
Heavily's a recipe for loss of train of thought, though.
Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I've seen people
I've seen
do
Brendan
it.
do it.
Who?
I've seen Brendan do it.
I've seen him do it. Yeah, fuck. I've seen him do it. I've seen a few people do it. I've seen massive comedians do it as well. I was drunk accidentally on stage before, but it was.
Oh shit! I'm ratted. I've got a gig.
What?
You say, oh shit, I'm ratted. I've got a gig.
No, it wasn't even that. I was ready for the gig. I was backstage, and this guy, a local guy, was selling his own vodka. And he was trying to sell it through the bar and stuff. So we were in the bar and he gave me a bottle, like a normal size, like a 330ml.
Like a hip flask?
No, like a fucking RTD. Like it looked like a normal bottled drink. And it was orange vodka. So I thought it was like 5%.
Like a mixy,
I thought it was that. So I'm sitting there waiting to go on stage, and I thought it was that, and I'm lashing into it. This is disgusting. But I'm drinking it. And then I got up to walk toward the stage, and I stood up, and I was like, what's wrong with my legs? And I walked toward the door, and I turned, and I walked into the wall, and like hit off the door frame, and I went, what the fuck just happened there? And then I looked at the bottle and it was 40%. Like he just had full vodka in a small bottle.
You'd pretty much drunk what we call a hip flask,
I
like
pretty much drank a full one of them before going on stage. So I went on. I had to do really quick. I was lucky the first comedian that was on was really good. And I just went out and I said, we're going to go on with the show. And then I went back and just sat there and drank water until... Did
you pull off the gig or throw it?
No, I went out and I just did a really quick bit.
But you, what I'm saying is the audience were none the worse.
No, I think they knew something was on because I wasn't being funny. Instead of walking out and being funny, I was like, right, we're going to start the show, toilets are there, the bar's there, the doors are there, and we're just going to get straight into it.
I'll be in my trailer.
Yeah, and that was it, and it was really sort of, and then the guy came out and smashed it, and then I was okay after sitting down for half an hour. But that was a shock. I went, because I'd hate to be on stage and be shit-faced.
Well, you'd hate to, if you were and pulled it off, fine, lesson learned, but you'd hate to have had a lemon of a show based on...
yeah, and it was a show that I ran as well, so it was it would have been a nightmare, but yeah, no, I've avoided being shit-faced.
Do you reckon, I don't know, I'd say that something like stand-up comedy to me strikes me that it could be part of a good mental health regime. Like, do you think that if you weren't getting on stage, you'd be going mad internally?
You'd go nuts. It's good to vent.
How do you think people that aren't performers and talkers and so on do it? Do you think?
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean? Let me rephrase that. Do you think it's something of a personality type that you have to do this to maintain sort of?
I think for me, and I talked to one of my mates who's quite hyperactive on stage as well, and does quite mad stuff. We talked about it, and he said, and I was the same. I said before I started doing comedy, I felt like I had to do mad or dumb shit at parties. I was like, right, what have we got? What have we got to do? And I do some stupid stuff to make everyone laugh. But after doing comedy, I get that all out on stage, where I get that the energy is released on stage, and then I can go to a party, sit down, have a drink, and be civilised, and that's lovely.
Were you doing jackass kind of stuff?
I was doing dumb shit as a kid,
like sniffing wasabi and jumping off
jumping
second
off
floors.
Stuff, and my elbows are fucked. Jumping and. Swallowing money and that sort of stuff. And
well, I'm really glad that unlike Steve-O, you turned into a good stand-up comedy. I did watch a bunch of stuff today, to be honest, because I was like, I haven't actually checked this guy, I will come to a show after this, by the way, for sure. But I haven't really checked this guy out. I was like, what if he's terrible?
Yeah.
And you cracked me up a number of times. I thought we're quite kindred spirits. So
Good.
that was a good thing. We might nearly be there, my friend.
That's all right.
It's been a pleasure. We've gone many places. We quite tentatively and unsuccessfully as a duo tried to touch on the huge issue, which is sexual assault in the entertainment industry.
Yeah.
Glad I brought that up.
No, but it is like it's everywhere. Like I nearly cracked a joke.
But I think our response was so similar to what we were both trying to say about the situation of trying to respond to it.
It's just nuts. There's a lot of stuff. And then I didn't even know I followed Bill Cosby on Twitter. I didn't realise I must have followed him years ago.
Yeah.
And it came up, Bill Cosby tweeted for the first time in years, and I went, what? And I checked it, and he was promoting his new DVD. And then I'm laughing, going, this is funny, right? Because comedy is all about timing. And that's some fucking ballsy timing to bring out your DVD. It turns out it's a few years old, the DVD, but still, the fact that he tweeted at this time, and I was going to put that out and say it on social media.
Yeah,
and
but
talk,
you're like,
no
can't
shit
do it.
about it.
Yeah.
But
it's an odd one. Yeah.
Yeah, but even thinking about it now, it's him. It's just nuts. It's absolutely
one of the
nuts.
most odd things I've seen him do, well, known of him doing, aside obviously from 30 years of absolutely heinous crimes, living a double life, abusing women. Oh, it's getting all depressing again. Is when he was exonerated or something similar from, I think, one of maybe the only case that got to court. There's this footage I had to watch about 3 or 4 times over. It was so surreal, I couldn't believe it was happening. So he comes out after all of this.
Yeah.
And there's about a handful of 10 supporters. We love you, Bill. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Did you see this, by the way?
No, but I've seen similar.
He decided to be Fat Albert, and he came out in a suit out of the court and goes, "Hey!"
Yeah. I think that is the one I've seen. They turn into dirty cunts straight away. Like when they see the people that support them. And I've seen other people. I can't remember who it was.
I don't know if it was turning into a dirty. It was more like.
But I know
it was more like, where's your mind?
Where's your mind in all of this? You see Gary Glitter walk out and he's there giving smiles and shaking his stuff to whoever's there, and you're like, it's wrong, it's weird. Just fucking.
I reckon that level of fame and stuff, when you get away with something so heinous for so many years, you almost like it's like a you think you're untouchable kind of a thing almost. Yeah. Like you're probably internally going, ha ha, look at these fools.
I got the money, I shut people up for years with money, and now they're dropping like flies, and that's only a good thing.
We ended up dirty bastards. It's been a pleasure. Hey, throw out some show dates and so on for the next few weeks.
I'm at the Classic every Friday up until Christmas doing the weird comedy shows. I'm pretty sure I'm doing other stuff for the Classic as well.
Give us some nights, mate.
Fridays, every Friday for the next until Christmas. Then nights over Christmas. It's on the Classic website. I'll go on my website. Or go on my Facebook, comedian Alan McElroy, or the website alanmcelroy.com. Or Crack Up Quiz is my quiz every Monday in Ponsonby, every Tuesday around different places, and Wednesdays in Ponsonby as well. Loads of stuff.
It's been a pleasure.